Unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard of the show Beastars. You might think it's very bait and an all-around mess. Honestly, you can think what you think, but here's why you should watch it anyway. Okay, so, let's get into it. When I try to tell my friends about Beastars, I usually get cut off and called a furry. What I normally say is it's kind of like Zootopia, but with lots of gore, story, sex, and creativity. But that necessarily isn't the best explanation for the show. It's a lot more different and in-depth than that. So, let's sum it up. I'll make sure I don't include any spoilers. The spoilers will start at this time on screen now. Okay, then. What does the show have to offer? Well, it has so much. Let's start off with the attention to detail. All animals in this world, besides fish and bugs for some reason, are sentient. The animals also have their instincts. I think that's so cool. Imagine hanging out with your friends while resisting the urge to eat them. That's what the world is like in this society. Every now and then, a devouring happens. This is pretty much the equivalent of a murder in society. Some animals can't resist the urge not to eat meat, and eat anyone they see. Of course, that would make herbivores in their society always fearing for their lives. This creates so many problems in the world. Carnivores and herbivores are always discriminatory to each other, and it creates a strong divide in their world. You may think there are problems with what the carnivores can eat, but this anime solves that problem by going in-depth about what they eat. Pretty much, carnivores just eat meat substitute. There's still so much more to say about the world and stereotypes, and how they live, like Legom the chicken. But I don't want to spoil anything. By the way, the soundtrack's still really good too, so you could just watch it just for that reason alone. From here on out, there will be spoilers for the show. If you haven't watched the show, now would be a good time to watch it, and come back later. You won't regret it. Okay, so, let's start from the beginning. We start off with the devouring of one of Lugosi's friends and fellow students named Tim. This starts off Beastars to a great start, which really pulls you in. It really also demonstrates the kind of world that these characters live in. This seriously impacts Lugosi, and he is an even more depressed good boy. This is a crazy start to the show, and when I first watched it, I knew I wasn't going to leave my seat. Later that day, while Lugosi is mourning Tim's death, we meet Louis. Louis is probably one of the most epicest characters in all of Beastars. He is also the leader of the drama club. Lugosi then thinks about how great he is while staring at him, and the scene is over. Throughout the rest of the day, Lugosi is contemplating about which time to give Tim's crush a letter from Tim. In the process of this, he creeps her out by staring at her the whole time. This show isn't all good though, and it does need some criticism. And in this scene, and for the rest of the chapter of the manga, this scene is portrayed very differently. I think that's good in Studio Orange's part because it really doesn't fit Lugosi's character, in that he is very ominous and creepy, and it wouldn't suit how he's portrayed. Then we switch storylines to Haru, who is being bullied by some other animals. She gets a mattress thrown at her for some reason. It's a little bit of a random object, but okay. Then at lunch, Haru finds herself sitting alone because some rumors are going around about her. Some bullies approach her and then start teasing her about her sexual, well, tendencies. Haru then gets pushed over and a bucket of water gets thrown over her. That night, Lugosi needs to keep watch for any teachers, so Louis and another guy can rehearse for the upcoming play. While Lugosi keeps watch, he approaches Tim's crush and gives her the letter. This scene is also very different than the manga. It's so different and it makes Lugosi feel so creepy. Instead of just talking with a friend and getting approached, Tim's crush forgets her watch. Lugosi knows about this because he was stalking her beforehand. Then he tracks her down and shines a spotlight on her, just like how the projector was facing when Tim was killed. This really makes you think that Lugosi might have been the person that killed Tim, and if I hadn't watched the anime beforehand, I definitely would have thought that. So, it's a good change, I think. Anyways, soon after that scene, Lugosi is back on watch. While Lugosi is on watch, he smells Haru, who has just exited the bathroom after letting her clothes dry off. Lugosi loses control of his instincts and attacks Haru. Lugosi fights with himself mentally and almost kills her.
悲しいそれとも悔しいどれも違うね 君は心から喜んでるんだ。
In this scene, Legoshi loses control and he almost eats Haru. This scene is really cool and really well done. I'm pretty sure Studio Orange thinks the same, as it's in pretty much every single trailer. This scene is very important for the show, and it shows up a lot more times later on. This is insane, and it really shows what Legoshi is trying to hide back. Luckily, before he devours her, another student calls them about other matters. We start off episode 2 with Louis, who had just fallen off the stage while helping a classmate rehearse for the upcoming play. He had injured his leg and needed Legoshi to help him up. Later we learn that Louis' leg is broken. Legoshi has a moment of realization in the bathroom about how messed up he really is, and we switch to the next day. That day, Legoshi witnesses a fight while having breakfast in his boarding school, and he intervenes. Legoshi gets confronted and he thinks of ways he could lose a fight. Luckily, Louis comes to the rescue and speaks up to the fighting carnivore. After that, they get on with the day. We then switch to later on where the drama club is rehearsing for their upcoming play. Louis is trying his best to keep acting even with his broken leg, and the drama teacher starts to notice. Louis plays it off as nothing though, and keeps rehearsing. Later on, Legoshi and the arts team are sewing clothes for the play, and Legoshi sees Tem's old costume. He briefly reflects back on Tem's life, and he cut back to Louis, who is having to deal with his leg. Louis needs to keep up his act though, and with a strong morale, he gets up, gets composed, and goes to rehearse again. This really shows what kind of character Louis is. It also shows what lengths he'll go to stay in the spotlight. We go back to Legoshi. He and one of the other students are told to go up to the gardening club to get some roses for the scenery for the play. When Legoshi and his friend get there, Legoshi is greeted by Haru. Legoshi gets ditched by his friend, and Legoshi and Haru are alone. Luckily, Haru didn't see who attacked her the night before, and Legoshi nervously asks for some flowers for the arts department. Haru asks for some help in return, and Legoshi goes to help her out. Legoshi then nervously asks Haru about how she got the bandage on her left arm. She bluffs about it and says she doesn't remember, and they go inside. When they go inside, Haru asks Legoshi if he wants anything to eat. Legoshi, the good boy he is, just wants to talk though. He procrastinates responding to her, and she assumes that he wants something more. Legoshi doesn't notice as he is still thinking about what to say, and before he knows it, Haru is in her underwear in front of him. Here we get to see some bits of her true personality, and we see that some of the rumors about her are true. We do later find out why she does these things later on in the story. Haru advances with Legoshi. During this, he is still completely frozen in shock. Haru then tries to take off his belt and he stops her. He frantically buttons up his shirt and pulls a blanket over her, and he is gone. But not before slamming his tail on the door.